Hi, I'm Daniela Moore, and I'm a licensed professional counselor. Welcome, and thank you for tuning in. Today, I'm going to talk about empathy, and I'm going to teach you how to build and strengthen your empathy skills while staying healthy. So make sure to watch this video until the end so you learn how to prevent empathy fatigue. Empathy is the ability to understand what other people feel, see things from their perspective, and understand their overall experiences without getting tangled up in their world or losing yourself in the process. Empathy is a skill that can help us be better human beings, and as divided as this world has been, I view empathy now more than ever as a superpower. So I hope you find this video helpful and decide to implement what I'm going to share with you today. So remember to subscribe to my channel and ring that notification bell so you can continue to learn skills to help you improve your life, your relationships, and overall well-being. Being able to experience empathy has many benefits. Empathy allows us to build social connections, and it is a key element in developing stronger relationships. We are social beings. We're not meant to live isolated or disconnected from one another. Having social connections is important for both physical and psychological well-being. Empathy helps us support and cooperate with others, make moral decisions, and do something when others are being mistreated or abused. Not only are you more likely to engage in helpful behaviors when you feel empathy for others, but others are also more likely to help you when they feel empathy. And because empathy requires us to self-reflect and imagine ourselves in other people's shoes, we learn a lot about ourselves and we learn to regulate our emotions in the process. Empathy can be categorized as emotional or affective empathy and cognitive empathy. Emotional or affective empathy involves having a physical or emotional reaction in response to what someone else is feeling. Sometimes our experience mirrors theirs. When you see somebody feeling embarrassed, for example, you might start to blush or you feel that embarrassment with them. Or when your friend is sad and you feel sad too. But sometimes emotional empathy may lead you to experience your own distress in response to how you perceive somebody else's situation. We can experience empathy with fictional characters too, like when you're watching a movie or reading a book and experiences sensations and emotions that the character or characters in your story experience. Crying, muscle tension, sadness, anger, fear, embarrassment, disgust are common examples. Pay attention to the sensations and emotions you experience next time you watch a movie or read a book. Cognitive empathy involves being able to identify and understand other people's perspectives and behaviors. It's having a better understanding of the content of a person's mind and their behaviors, including facial expressions. Empathy is not the same as sympathy or compassion. They are often used interchangeably, but they're not the same. Sympathy is feeling for someone, a feeling of concern, sorrow, pity, and it comes with a desire that the person becomes happier and better. Empathy is feeling with someone else. It involves sharing the person's emotions and experiences without getting lost in their world. Empathy is more about understanding what a person is feeling or going through mentally, emotionally, and cognitively. And compassion is an empathic understanding of a person's emotions and experiences, followed by a desire to act on their behalf. Here are some signs that show you that you are an empathetic person. You are good at truly listening to what others have to say. And because they probably feel heard and safe around you, people often tell you their problems or they come to you for advice. You can pick up on how people are feeling. You can read nonverbal communication well, and you sense when people aren't being honest. You sometimes feel drained or overwhelmed in social situations. You often think about how people feel and take in consideration how your behaviors, interactions, or words might impact others around you. You have compassion and you feel compelled to help others who are struggling, and you take action on their behalf. You often feel saddened, upset, or overwhelmed by tragic events. And because you care deeply about other people and you don't like to see them upset, you find it difficult to set boundaries in your relationships. When out of balance, habitually putting the emotions and perspectives of other people above your own may lead you to feel overwhelmed, burned out, or overstimulated, and it can have a detrimental impact on your mental health. This can be particularly detrimental if you have the role of a caregiver, either in your personal life, like caring for a loved one, or your professional life, if you're a healthcare worker, for instance. This is because it's harder for you to take a break from that role and find some space for yourself to recharge. High levels of empathy can also impact your judgment, causing you to go against what you want or what you believe in, and sometimes even your morals, depending on the level of empathy you have for somebody else. It's important to understand this. Your ability to feel other people's pain doesn't make it your responsibility to fix it. Setting boundaries, saying no, and taking space to regulate yourself and decompress are important things to keep in mind. Self-care is essential. Because empathy is an ability, most people can develop it. In some cases, due to illness, personality or developmental disorders, or trauma, some people may have an extremely low empathy and a decreased capacity to develop it. Sociopaths or individuals with antisocial personality disorders, for instance, lack the ability to experience empathy. People who have a diagnosis of narcissistic personality disorder or borderline personality disorder also have difficulty experiencing empathy, and studies also suggest that some individuals diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder have difficulty empathizing. People who spend more time with individuals who are different than themselves tend to adopt a more empathetic outlook towards others. You can enhance and maintain your ability to walk in somebody else's shoes. Here are a few things you can do to build and strengthen your empathy skills. Tip number 1, make listening a priority. Practice listening to people without interrupting. Listening is part of good communication skills, but listening to understand, not listening to respond. How do you show you're actively listening? This takes me to tip number 2. Go deeper in your conversations and ask open-ended questions. These are questions that require longer and more meaningful answers. Paraphrase what they told you to show them that you understand what they said to you. This is different than parroting, which is repeating word for word. Ask them to elaborate or clarify when you don't understand what they're sharing with you. Examples of these might be, do you mean to say blank? I hear you say blank. Did I get it right? Or, I don't quite understand what you mean by blank. Could you elaborate some more? Intentionally get to know other people better. Bring and practice genuine curiosity in your interactions. Develop a stronger connection with people to understand better how they feel. Once you learn more about someone else's story, you'll be able to empathize better. Tip number 3, be fully present and engaged in your interactions. Limit distractions. Make eye contact. Nod. Pay attention to body language and facial expressions to learn to respond appropriately. Tip number 4, try to understand people from their perspective and circumstances, even when you don't agree with them. Validation is a huge piece in empathy. Here are some things you can say to validate somebody's experience. I can see how this was difficult for you. No wonder why you have difficulty trusting others. It makes sense that you feel this way or that you think this way. Or, considering what you knew at the time or what you had available to you at the time, it seemed appropriate to act the way you did. Tip number 5, use your imagination and imagine yourself in the shoes of somebody else. A good exercise might be watching a movie and imagine yourself as the fictional character you're watching. But you can certainly do this in real life too. Tip number 6, get out of your comfort zone. Engage in new experiences to gain better insight. Interact and engage with people who are different from you or who belong to groups different than yours, different races, genders, religions, cultures, and so on. Identify the biases you may have and how they impact your ability to experience and express empathy for those who might not have the same beliefs or opinions as you. Challenge these biases. Look for ways in which you're similar to others instead of focusing on differences. Tip number 7, be willing to be vulnerable and open up about how you feel also, with people who you think you can trust, of course. Empathic relationships are mutual and reciprocal. People will trust you more and feel safer and more comfortable opening up to you if you also open up to them. This will help you develop a stronger and more meaningful relationship. If you've watched my other videos, you know I prioritize and promote self-development, self-awareness, self-healing, and so on. The more we understand ourselves, the more we can understand others also. So here it is. How can we have an understanding of how somebody else is feeling if we don't know how we feel? We need to be able to identify our own emotions and know what they feel like if we want to maintain healthy empathy. If you're good at picking up other people's emotions, you definitely need to understand what emotions are yours and what aren't. Otherwise, you become easily consumed and overwhelmed and sometimes triggered. So, my suggestion is get to know yourself better too and learn to regulate your own emotions. Like I said earlier in the video, empathy is an ability, so most of us can develop it. It can be learned, practiced, and modeled. If you decide to try any of the tips that I shared with you in this video today, let me know. Or what have you tried that has worked for you? Let's chat in the comment section below. If this is the first video you're watching on this channel and you want to see and learn more, remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the upcoming skill building videos. And if you found this video helpful, please smash that like button for me and share it with friends and family. Here's a quote to wrap up today's video. Opinion is really the lowest form of human knowledge. It requires no accountability, no understanding. The highest form of knowledge is empathy, for it requires us to suspend our egos and live in another's world. It requires profound purpose, larger than the self kind of understanding. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time so we can continue to evolve more.